People often say, I work hard but I'm still struggling. But you must know this truth: man's supply is not found in labor but in law. Not the laws of the world, but the invisible laws of spirit, which govern your purse, your pocket, your career and your coins. Money is not material. Money is spiritual substance, and unless your mind and mouth are aligned with divine law, you may toil but never prosper. Money does not respond to effort, it responds to order, consciousness, and divine obedience. You can be rich and still fear loss. You can be poor and still hold power to command wealth, if you speak from truth and not from appearances. The first spiritual law that governs your money is the law of right compensation. Whatever you give must return to you. Not through the person you gave it to, but by the divine orchestration of God's law. Many say, I gave and received nothing. And I say, you must give with no thought of return, and the return shall shock you in its glory. Give joyfully, give wisely, give with faith, for your harvest depends not on the ground but on your giving heart. The second law is the law of the spoken word. You shall not have what you hope, but what you speak. The man who says, money comes to me easily and constantly, shall walk through unexpected doors. But the man who says, money is hard to come by, is like a captain who speaks storms into a quiet sea. Your words are wands, speak abundance, and you shall live in it. The third is the law of non-resistance. That which you resist persists. When bills come, do not resist them, bless them. Say, this is evidence I am trusted by the universe. I now pay this bill with joy, and I bless the channel that provided the service. Money flees the one who curses it, but money multiplies for the one who blesses it. Never fear money, never chase it. Be still and let it come as a servant, not a master. The fourth law is the law of divine circulation. Stagnant money is cursed, circulating money is blessed. If you hoard from fear, you block your own supply. But if you circulate with faith, the divine flow never stops. Every dollar you release joyfully becomes a seed, and that seed shall return as a tree. Say, I release this money with love, and it returns to me multiplied in miraculous ways. The fifth is the law of expectancy. You shall receive what you expect, no more, no less. The universe is not punishing you, it is simply obeying your instructions. Expect poverty, and doors will close. Expect increase, and divine opportunities will emerge. Say each morning, I expect unexpected money today. Something wonderful is happening to me now. The riches of God are flowing through me effortlessly. You must remember this: you are not working for money. You are working with divine law. And divine law is infallible. It cannot fail. The failure is always in the belief, not in the law. If you feel fear, speak faith. If you feel doubt, speak truth. If you feel lack, speak wealth. Your outer world must obey your inner convictions. Say, there is gold dust in the air for me. God is my instant, constant, and unlimited supply. I am now linked with universal substance, and nothing can be withheld from me. For as you speak, so it is. And as you believe, so you receive. There is a law that governs what you receive, and it is not decided by the person you gave to, the boss who pays you, or the effort you exert. It is spiritual, invisible, and exact. It is called the law of right compensation. According to this law, every thought, every word, and every action is an investment into your future conditions. What you give, you receive. What you withhold, you lose. This is not a belief. It is a spiritual principle operating at all times, whether you know it or not. When one gives with a fearful heart, believing there is not enough to go around, he plants seeds into dry ground. That gift will bear little fruit. But when a man gives with confidence in divine abundance, knowing that substance is endless and ever flowing, he is aligning himself with the wealth of the universe. For compensation is not a response from the world. It is a reflection of your consciousness. Many people say, I gave generously, but I never got anything in return. And they speak this as proof that the law has failed. But the law cannot fail. It may be that they gave from guilt, or they gave from desperation, or they gave while silently believing, I will probably never see this again. That is not giving, that is bargaining. The spiritual law does not respond to the words of your mouth, but to the tone of your spirit. If you give and then watch the mailbox with anxiety, you are not giving in faith. If you donate and then complain, no one ever helps me when I need it, you cancel the very energy of increase. Right compensation comes when giving is done with joy and faith, without calculation or attachment to the source. You must release the idea that any person is your supplier. Jobs are not your supply. People are not your source. The divine law uses people and jobs as channels, not as causes. So when one channel dries up, rejoice. That only means another door is being prepared. Say, I thank this channel for serving its purpose, and I now prepare for greater supply. Some people give and then feel bitter when nothing appears immediately, but they forget the law of gestation. A farmer does not plant seeds in the morning and stand angry in the evening because fruit has not appeared. He trusts the process. Likewise, you must not disturb the soil of your giving by digging it up with complaints, fear, or impatience. Your compensation is on its way the moment you release your gift, but your belief determines the path it travels and the time it takes. There is another point that must be understood. Compensation is not always returned from the same channel through which you gave. If you help a friend in need, and that friend never returns the favor, do not be troubled. The law is never confused. It may send your reward through a stranger, a new job, a divine idea, or a door you never imagined. Do not watch the person, watch the principle. What you send out always returns to you, but rarely from the same direction. The world says, I gave to him, so he must give back. But divine law says, give to him, and I shall return it to you by means higher than your understanding. Those who have prospered by spiritual means understand that giving is not about amount. It is about energy. A widow who offers her last coin in faith may receive more spiritual credit than a millionaire who donates in fear of criticism. Your heart determines the value. Your faith determines the harvest. If you give because you know that your supply is infinite, you are already rich. If you hoard because you fear lack, you are already poor. People often confuse giving with depletion, but true giving replenishes. That which is given in love, trust, and joy becomes multiplied the moment it leaves your hand. What you keep with clenched fist shrinks. What you release with open palms expands. The more you circulate, the more you activate. The tighter you hold, the less you possess. If you are waiting for money to feel generous, you are blocking the law. Begin now. Give in whatever way you can: money, time, encouragement, service, praise. Every form of giving activates the law. Even a kind word spoken in sincerity can return as a financial blessing. Life is not logical, it is spiritual. And spiritual law sees the unseen and calculates with precision far beyond your sight. Speak daily, I give with joy, and it returns multiplied in perfect ways. Say, every gift I release comes back to me pressed down, shaken together, and running over. These are not empty affirmations, they are laws in motion. As you give, so you shall receive, not from man, but from the mind behind all men. And when you finally understand that, you will stop chasing money and start practicing principle. And when you practice principle, the money must come. It has no choice. The law is exact. There is a power within your mouth greater than all the riches of the world. Your words are not idle decorations of conversation. They are instruments of creation. Every word you speak is a seed planted in the invisible soil of spirit, and that seed must take form. If you speak words of fear, the form shall be lack. If you speak words of truth, the form shall be abundance. You do not receive what you want. You receive what you declare. The mouth is the steering wheel of destiny. Where it turns, your life must follow. Many people speak carelessly and then wonder why confusion shows up. They speak of how nothing ever works, and then complain when everything seems to fail. They say, I can't afford that, and so they don't. They say, money is tight, and so it stays that way. But they forget that the law of the spoken word is not sentimental, it is exact. It does not judge right or wrong, it merely obeys. Just as fire will warm or burn depending on how you use it, so will your words bless or destroy depending on how you speak them. There are no neutral words. Each word carries vibration. When you say, I am always provided for, you create a field of supply. When you say, I am cursed with bad luck, you issue a command to the unseen forces that shape your conditions. Your words are not small. They are spiritual instruments of precision. The unseen listens, and it responds with mechanical certainty. People often say affirmations but then ruin them by contradiction. They declare, I am rich, but in the next breath they say, I don't know how I'll pay rent this month. This is like planting a rose and then pouring poison on it. The spoken word must be consistent and aligned. You cannot serve two masters. Faith and fear cannot occupy the same room. If your words are filled with faith, your world will be too. If your words are tainted with doubt, so will be your path. The spoken word is not a magic formula. It is spiritual law in motion. You must speak not only with your lips but with belief behind it. Speak as though it were already true. Feel the vibration of what you declare. When you say, money flows to me now, say it with the tone of someone who expects it. When you say, all doors open for me, say it with the peace of someone who knows. The universe does not respond to empty sound. It responds to spiritual conviction. Watch your words, especially when you are under pressure. That is when most people violate the law. They say, I'm doomed. When things go wrong, or I knew this would happen, when disappointment comes. And then they do not realize that these very statements invited more of the same. You must train yourself to speak words of truth even in the storm. When the bank account is low, say, my supply comes from higher places. When plans fall apart, say, something better is unfolding. These are not Navi declarations, they are divine instructions to the universe. If a person could record their words for 1 week and play them back, they would hear clearly why their life is the way it is. Every complaint would reveal a delay. Every declaration of lack would echo in their conditions. But so too would every statement of praise open new doors. There is no secret. There is only speech. What you speak into the world must become your experience. Many people use their words to describe their lives instead of designing them. They say what they see rather than what they want. But you are not here to react. You are here to create. When you speak from truth, your life becomes aligned with truth. Begin to declare not what is, but what shall be. Speak health over sickness, abundance over lack, peace over worry. Say, divine order now governs my finances. Say, I am a magnet for miracles. Say, every word I speak builds the world I walk in. You must understand that your voice is not just sound. It is a vibration that shapes matter. When you speak with intention, the spiritual substance around you begins to shift. You do not need to know how. You only need to know what. The spoken word delivers your instruction to the unseen builders of your future. Your job is to give the command. The law's job is to fulfill it. Practice right speech like a sacred ritual. Wake up and speak your day into alignment. Do not let fear speak louder than faith. Every time you catch yourself speaking lack, stop and replace it. Words are tools and you are the craftsman. Say what you desire, not what you dread. Speak the unseen until it becomes seen. That is the law, and the law never fails. There is a spiritual law more subtle than power and more powerful than force. It is called non-resistance, and it is the quiet weapon of the wise. The moment you resist anything, you give it power over you. You feed it with attention, strengthen it with emotion, and multiply its influence by acknowledging it as a threat. The thing resisted becomes the thing sustained. But when you release resistance, you break the very connection that binds you to the condition. What you resist, you tie yourself to. If you resist debt, you form a bond with it. If you resist criticism, you create an echo of it in your own thoughts. If you resist failure, you silently attract more of it. The energy of resistance forms a magnetic charge, a spiritual grip, that keeps the unwanted condition circling back to you. You do not defeat an enemy by wrestling it, you defeat it by starving it of your attention. In spiritual law, resistance is agreement in disguise. Most people spend their lives fighting what they fear. They push against bills, struggle with bad relationships, wrestle with mental turmoil, and battle with appearances. But they do not realize that the battle itself is the magnet. They say, I want peace, but they fight their circumstances with anxiety. They say, I want money, but they resist every appearance of lack with frustration. The moment you push against anything, you tell the universe it has power, and the law will always confirm what you believe to be true. The wise soul meets difficulty with surrender, not defeat, but detachment. Detachment is the opposite of fear. It is not indifference, but spiritual confidence. When you say, I no longer resist this problem, I release it to divine law, you have already begun the process of dissolving it. Non-resistance does not mean you accept defeat. It means you accept spiritual victory by refusing to give energy to the condition. You do not conquer darkness by yelling at it. You conquer darkness by turning on the light. Some people resist the very things that are meant to elevate them. They resist discipline, resist silence, resist surrender, resist uncertainty. But those are the very tools of transformation. The butterfly does not resist the cocoon. It surrenders to stillness until the wings are formed. Likewise, there are seasons in your life when the fastest way forward is to let go. Let go of struggling to be understood. Let go of proving your worth. Let go of forcing solutions. In the spiritual realm, letting go is not weakness, it is mastery. Resistance to money, for example, often takes the form of resentment. People who resent the wealth of others unknowingly push away their own abundance. They say, it's not fair they have so much. And in that very statement they have sealed their own fate. Non-resistance would say, I bless the wealth I see, and I now align with that frequency. The moment you bless what you once envied, you make room for it to enter your own experience. When bills arrive, the common reaction is resistance, fear, anxiety, frustration. But that emotional energy binds you to the illusion of lack. If instead you say, I bless this bill and thank the divine for my ability to pay it, you shift from resistance to reception. You have opened the way for supply to flow. Do not resist appearances. Appearances are shadows, and shadows vanish when faced with light. Speak light into what you once feared. Non-resistance is most powerful when practiced in conflict. If someone offends you, resist the urge to retaliate. Your silence will speak louder than your defense. The law will correct what you do not try to control. When you argue with the world, you are trying to fix a mirror by scratching the reflection. But when you adjust your vibration through peace, the mirror must reflect that peace back to you. There are no outside enemies, only inner invitations. Every situation that disturbs your peace is an invitation to practice non-resistance. It is your opportunity to rise above the battlefield and claim the high ground of spiritual clarity. When you stop reacting, you start creating. When you no longer match the vibration of the problem, you exit its pattern. Say, I do not resist, I really trust. This is not passivity, it is power under divine direction. You cannot force your way into harmony, you can only align with it. Non-resistance is that alignment. It is the act of stepping back so that higher forces can step in, and they always do. The moment you release your grip, your blessing begins to move. When you no longer need to control, the law begins to deliver what was already prepared for you. Practice non-resistance in all things. Watch your emotions and catch the first signs of tension. Do not react, do not force, do not demand. Instead, affirm truth. Speak peace. Bless the very thing you once cursed. The law cannot bring harmony to the one who wrestles with it, but to the one who rests in its flow, all things are possible. There is a divine rhythm to all of life, a sacred circulation that governs not just your heartbeat or breath, but your prosperity. Money is not a possession, it is part of the eternal flow. It is spiritual substance made visible, and like the tide, it must move. The one who tries to hoard it, hold it tightly, or hide it in fear will find it slips away like water through clenched fists. But the one who releases it with trust and joy invites it to return, multiplied and blessed. The law is simple: what you circulate with faith will always return in divine timing and divine measure. Many people block their supply by misunderstanding the nature of money. They think of it as limited, static, or scarce. They say, "I must hold on to every dollar," and in that statement they disconnect from the flow. True supply comes not from accumulation, but from alignment. You were never meant to keep money, you were meant to use it as a spiritual servant, allowing it to move freely through your life, blessing you as it comes and blessing others as it goes. As long as you circulate with consciousness, you will never run out. It is not the amount you have, but the freedom with which you allow it to move that determines your wealth. The world has trained people to fear circulation. They say, save for the dry season, and though there is wisdom in planning, there is also danger in fearful control. When you circulate with fear, you say to the universe, "I do not believe more is coming," and the law must obey your belief. But when you circulate with gratitude and confidence, even when logic says you shouldn't, you tap into the endless supply of spirit. It is not wasteful to give in faith. It is an act of divine participation in the flow. Every dollar you spend, every gift you give, every donation you release, is a spiritual transaction. If done in joy, it plants seeds in the invisible. If done in fear, it creates stagnation. You may think, "But if I give, will I have enough?" That thought alone tightens the channel. Instead say, "This money is not leaving me. It is circulating through divine order, and shall return in perfect form." Your confidence in the return is what guarantees it. Some people give with resentment, and then wonder why they feel depleted. They say, "I gave, and it hurt me." But giving when done properly should never hurt. It should bless. If it wounds you, it was not giving. It was sacrifice rooted in fear. Do not give out of obligation or fear of lack. Give because you understand the law. Give because you know the flow cannot pass through a closed vessel. You cannot receive more until you make space for it. And circulation is how you make that space. Money is not dirty, evil, or corrupt. It is energy. It takes on the character of the one who uses it. When you release money in love, it travels as an agent of blessing. When you use it to bless a friend, support a vision, feed the hungry, or buy something joyful for yourself, you are not spending. You are circulating divine energy. That energy returns to you, cleansed and multiplied. Say, "This money I release shall bless everyone it touches and return to me tenfold." There are those who receive money and immediately fear its loss. They check their accounts daily, grasping at security. But that grasping creates spiritual suffocation. The law does not respond to anxiety, it responds to trust. Learn to enjoy the movement of money without panic. Celebrate its coming and honor its going. Like breath, it must be inhaled and exhaled. If you only inhale, you will drown in the very substance meant to give you life. Likewise, if you only receive and never release, you become spiritually stagnant. If you feel stuck financially, do not look to earn more first, look to release. Ask yourself, where can I circulate joyfully today? It may be a tip, a tithe, a small gift, or a heartfelt gesture. It is not about quantity, it is about flow. When you open your hand to give, you also open your hand to receive. The closed hand cannot receive the new. The open hand is always full, either with substance or with readiness to be filled. To practice divine circulation is to trust the spiritual economy over the material one. The material world will always show you reasons to fear news, numbers, downturns, delays. But the spiritual world is governed by an invisible law that knows no shortage. There is always enough for those who participate in the flow. Say each day, "I circulate money with love and joy. It blesses all it touches and returns to me increased and enriched." In that spirit, money becomes not a worry, but a wonder, a sacred current in the river of life. Expectation is the invisible mold into which your life is poured. Whatever you consistently expect, you invite. Expectancy is faith wrapped in vision, the quiet command your spirit sends to the universe, declaring not what is, but what is to come. Many people confuse hope with expectancy. Hope is fragile and uncertain. It says, "I wish it would happen." But expectancy stands tall and certain. It says, I know it is happening, even now. The law does not reward wishing, it rewards knowing. The law of expectancy is always working. You are always expecting something, whether consciously or not. The person who wakes and says, today will be difficult, is already shaping the fabric of the day. The one who says, nothing good ever happens to me, has spoken the key that locks the door. And yet another who rises and declares, something wonderful is unfolding, will find the very air shifts in their favor. The difference is not circumstance. The difference is expectation. Children often live by this law naturally. A child expects their needs to be met. They expect joy, discovery, surprise, and so life responds. But as people grow older, they learn to expect based on memory, disappointment, or logic. They forget that the law is not bound to the past. It is bound only to belief. What you expect now has more power than what happened yesterday. The law does not look backward. It only listens to the voice you carry today. If a person desires money, but deep within expects delay, they will not see abundance, no matter how many affirmations they speak. The vibration of expectancy overrides the volume of your words. What you prepare for, you announce. If you keep checking the mailbox with doubt, or anticipate bad news before it arrives, you are rehearsing the very lack you claim to reject. Expectancy is a form of prophecy. You are always predicting. The question is, what are you prophesying with your thoughts? You must train yourself to expect only good. Begin each day with sacred declarations. Say, I expect increase. I expect joy. I expect unexpected money. I expect divine right connections. These are not idle phrases. They are spiritual commands issued to the unseen forces that obey the vibratory signature of your soul. When you walk through your day expecting favor, you activate doors that were previously invisible. The eyes of expectation can see what fear cannot. Many people unknowingly use this law against themselves. They expect delay. They expect difficulty. They expect betrayal. They say, things always go wrong for me, and then feel vindicated when they do. But that is not fate. That is law. It is not misfortune. It is misdirection. Life obeys the blueprint you hand it. If you expect shadows, you will not notice the sun. Your environment is a mirror of your inner expectancy. If you expect poverty, you will overlook opportunities. If you expect rejection, you will dismiss kindness. But if you expect abundance, you will notice the subtle signs of increase. You will recognize divine timing. You will feel guided even in silence. Expectancy sharpens your awareness. It aligns your attention with the rhythm of your good. If you feel resistance to expectation, it is because past wounds whisper, don't get your hopes up. But spiritual law does not punish you for expecting too much. It responds to those who dare to expect beyond appearances. You are not limited by what has been. You are shaped by what you are willing to receive. Expectancy does not demand details. It simply stands in readiness and says, I am available for my highest good. When a seed is planted in the ground, the farmer does not hover in doubt. He expects the harvest. He prepares for it. He builds barns in advance. This is the posture of spiritual mastery. To prepare before proof appears. Build space for your miracle. Make room in your schedule, your finances, your heart. Clean the drawer before the new comes. Expectation is preparation. What you prepare for is proof of what you believe. Say, I expect prosperity in every area of my life. I expect right action, divine timing, perfect health, and limitless creativity. Speak these truths not with anxiety but with peace. Carry the energy of fulfillment long before it arrives. The world may call this delusion, but heaven calls it law. Your expectancy is the cup into which blessings are poured. If your cup is small, you will be filled only to its measure. Enlarge your cup, enlarge your belief, enlarge your invitation. The moment you shift from fear to expectancy, the tide begins to turn. The law is not waiting for the right economy, the right partner, the right season. It is waiting for your readiness. And readiness is born through expectation. Walk forward today as though the blessing is already in motion, because it is. You do not need to force it. You only need to expect it, and the universe shall fulfill your faith. Now you know that money is not governed by struggle, economy, or effort but by spiritual law. These laws are invisible yet exact, silent yet commanding. The law of right compensation assures you that all you give returns to you, purified and multiplied. The law of the spoken word reminds you that every phrase you speak builds the house you live in. The law of non-resistance teaches that peace is power, and what you refuse to fight, you release. The law of divine circulation shows that money is not to be hoarded but moved, like breath, like rhythm, like grace. And the law of expectancy teaches you that faith is not wishing, it is confident preparation for the inevitable. You are not here to beg the universe. You are here to declare truth, live in alignment, and walk by inner knowing. You are not chasing money. Money is waiting for you to stop resisting, to start blessing, and to speak with authority. The world may teach hustle, fear, and survival, but spirit teaches you to speak, give, release, and expect, not because of what you see, but because of what you know. You are the vessel. You are the voice. You are the channel through which divine supply flows. Speak the word. Keep the law and let the blessings come, not by might, not by force, but by spiritual precision. As you align with these truths, the invisible must become visible, and the seen must bow to the unseen. For the spiritual governs the material, and now your world shall reflect the wealth you know is already yours.